Welcome to the fascinating, resilient, and deeply misunderstood world of the shotgun house. If you have ever visited New Orleans, Louisville, or almost any historic working-class neighborhood in the southern United States, you have undoubtedly seen them. They are the narrow, steeply pitched, brightly colored wooden boxes that line the streets like colorful dominoes. They are typically no wider than 12 feet, yet they stretch deep into the residential lots, defying all modern conventions of architectural layout and privacy. For decades, the shotgun house was dismissed by architectural elites as nothing more than cheap, disposable housing for the urban poor. But today, the narrative has radically shifted. Architects, historians, and modern minimalists have rediscovered the shotgun house, realizing that it is actually a masterpiece of sustainable, culturally rich, and highly efficient design. In this comprehensive documentary, we are going to unlock the true story of the shotgun house. We will trace its surprising origins across the Atlantic Ocean, explore the brilliant physics of how it naturally cools itself without electricity, and discover why this narrow, hallway-free footprint is making a massive comeback in the 21st century. Prepare to rethink everything you thought you knew about small living. To truly understand the shotgun house, you have to completely abandon your modern expectations of a floor plan. In a conventional home, we rely on a network of hallways to navigate between rooms, acting as neutral pathways that protect our privacy. The shotgun house violently rejects the hallway. It is an architecture of pure, unadulterated linearity. The standard shotgun house is roughly 12 feet wide and can be anywhere from 50 to 70 feet long. When you open the front door from the covered porch, you step immediately into the primary living space or parlor. Behind the parlor, connected by a single door, is a bedroom. Behind that bedroom is another bedroom, and at the absolute rear of the house, you will find the kitchen and the back door leading to a small yard. Because there are no hallways, every room is a thoroughfare. If you want to get from the living room to the kitchen to grab a glass of water in the middle of the night, you have to physically walk through every single bedroom in the house. The interior doors are mathematically aligned, usually pushed entirely to one side of the structure, creating that famous unbroken line of sight from the front yard to the back alley. This extreme layout creates a living dynamic that is foreign to most modern families. It forces an incredible level of intimacy. It eliminates secrets. It is a house that binds families together tightly, simply because the architecture literally forces you to interact with one another. For a very long time, Western architectural historians tried to claim that the shotgun house was an American invention, an efficient way to pack as many cheap houses as possible onto narrow, heavily taxed city lots. But modern historical research has proven that this narrative is entirely false. The shotgun house is not a product of European urban planning. It is an Afro-Caribbean masterpiece. To trace the true genetic code of the shotgun house, we must cross the ocean. Architectural historians have traced the exact lineage of this linear, room-by-room layout to West Africa, specifically to the traditional architecture of the Yoruba people. During the tragic era of the transatlantic slave trade, enslaved Africans brought their spatial memory and building techniques to the Caribbean island of Haiti. In Haiti, this African layout merged with indigenous construction methods to create long, narrow, timber-framed homes designed to survive the brutal tropical heat. Following the Haitian Revolution in the early 19th century, thousands of refugees, including enslaved individuals, free people of color, and French planters, fled the island and migrated directly to New Orleans. They brought this architecture with them. Free people of color and highly skilled black carpenters began constructing these narrow homes across the city. The word shotgun itself is heavily debated among linguists. Many believe it has nothing to do with a gun, but is rather an anglicized corruption of the West African word tagun, meaning place of assembly. Understanding this history is critical because it reframes the shotgun house not as a symbol of poverty, but as a profound symbol of cultural resilience and African architectural genius surviving on American soil.
We have to remember the environment in which these homes were built. New Orleans, before the invention of mechanical air conditioning, was a punishing, unrelenting environment. The humidity was suffocating, and the summer heat was lethal. If you built a standard, boxy, European-style house with twisting hallways and low ceilings in the middle of a Louisiana swamp, it would become an unlivable oven. The shotgun house was engineered as a massive, passive cooling machine. Every single structural decision was designed to fight the heat. Let's look at the famous alignment of the doors. By placing the front door, the interior doors, and the back door in a perfectly straight line, the house captures even the slightest ambient breeze. When all the doors are opened, the air channels through the narrow tunnel of the house, creating a constant, accelerated cross breeze that sweeps the heat out the back. But the true secret weapon of the shotgun house lies overhead, the ceilings. In a home that is incredibly small in its footprint, the ceilings are remarkably soaring, often reaching 11, 12, or even 13 feet high. Because hot air naturally rises, the heat generated by human bodies and cooking naturally lifts up and away from the living zone. Above every interior door, builders installed transom windows, small, operable glass panels that could be tilted open. Even if the bedroom doors were shut for privacy, the transoms were left open, allowing the hot air trapped at the ceiling to flow out of the house. It is an exercise in absolute electricity-free climate control, an architecture of pure survival. As the shotgun style became the dominant residential architecture of the working class across the South, builders began to innovate and adapt the structure to meet growing family needs and economic pressures. The basic single shotgun was brilliant, but it was just the beginning of the architectural evolution. The most common variation you will see lining the streets today is the double shotgun. This is essentially a side-by-side duplex. Builders took the basic linear floor plan and mirrored it, constructing two identical shotgun homes that share a single central party wall under one roof. The double shotgun was a highly lucrative investment for working-class families. They could live in one side and rent out the other, or they could house multi-generational families under one roof while maintaining separate entrances. From the street, a double shotgun features two identical front doors sitting side by side on a shared, continuous front porch. The second and perhaps most famous variation is the Camelback. As families grew, they desperately needed more space, but adding width was impossible due to the narrow city lots, and local property taxes were often based on the number of stories facing the street. To beat the tax assessors, builders added a partial second floor to the absolute rear of the house, usually positioned over the kitchen. From the front, the house still looked like a modest single-story shotgun, but the back featured a distinct humped second level containing extra bedrooms. This unique two-tiered silhouette gave birth to the name Camelback, proving that architectural ingenuity is often driven by a desire to outsmart the taxman. You cannot discuss the shotgun house without discussing its profound impact on Southern culture and sociology. Architecture dictates human behavior. The spaces we build shape the way we interact. And the shotgun house was the ultimate incubator for tight-knit, vibrant, and incredibly vocal communities. Because shotgun houses are so incredibly narrow, developers could pack dozens of them onto a single city block. The distance between you and your neighbor was often no more than 3 or 4 feet. Furthermore, the houses had no front yards to speak of. They were built almost flush against the public sidewalk. But every shotgun house featured a covered front porch. In the stifling heat of the summer, before the television and the air conditioner trapped us indoors, the interior of the house was simply too hot. The entire family would migrate to the front porch to catch the evening breeze. Because your porch was only a few feet away from your neighbor's porch and only a few feet away from the sidewalk, isolation was impossible. You knew your neighbors, you knew their business, you shared their food, and you watched their children. This intense, forced proximity created a cultural phenomenon known as front porch culture. It fostered a deep, interconnected community spirit that gave birth to neighborhood jazz bands, mutual aid societies, and the incredibly rich, communal soul of cities like New Orleans. The shotgun house didn't just house a family, it built a neighborhood. Despite its brilliance, the shotgun house eventually fell into a dark, devastating era of decline. By the mid-20th century, the American dream had shifted. The post-war boom fueled the rise of the suburbs. The ideal home was no longer a narrow wooden box in a dense urban grid. It was a sprawling, air-conditioned ranch house surrounded by a massive private green lawn. The shotgun house, with its lack of privacy and lack of modern amenities, suddenly fell deeply out of favor. During the 1950s and 60s, a devastating stigma attached itself to the shotgun house. It became universally viewed as the architecture of poverty, a symbol of urban blight. As middle-class families fled to the suburbs, shotgun neighborhoods were left to decay. Landlords stopped maintaining the properties, and the wooden structures, subjected to the harsh, humid southern climate, began to rot, sag, and collapse.
The final blow came in the form of urban renewal projects. City planners and highway engineers viewed these historic, densely packed neighborhoods as expendable. Entire blocks of irreplaceable, century-old shotgun homes were ruthlessly bulldozed to make way for elevated interstate highways and brutalist public housing projects. The architectural establishment viewed the shotgun house as a shameful relic of the past that needed to be erased. By the 1980s, it seemed entirely possible that the shotgun house would be wiped completely off the map, lost to history forever.